Hello, Sagittarius Rising. Dr. Friesen here with your October reading. And I want to preface this by saying this is for Sagittarius Rising. However, you could resonate with this reading if Sagittarius your sun, moon, or Venus. And that's because those parts of you could also be in the same part in your chart. It all depends on when you were born, the day and time of birth. Okay. So, although some people, the majority of the people have a different sun, moon, Venus sign and rising, there are some of us who have the same rising in sun or rising in moon or something to that effect. So that's why sometimes the information that's given under a sign, it might be a sun sign and it might resonate with you because you might actually have that in that like Sagittarius in another part of your chart. And so that energy is hitting you this in that way. So that's all, just a little information about astrology for you. So first thing we're going to do is pick a card for the lesson of the month. And I'm going to go to this side of the card because I had been going over here. And for you, it is change. I understand that nothing can grow or evolve without movement. Somebody else got this card. Um, I forget who got this card. So change. And I like it. And it's obvious that change is a good one because this is the first month. And of course, I say first month because it is the 10th month. 1 plus 0 is 1 in numerology. So this is our second starting over point, right? Our second set of one. January was 1 where we started. October is 10, which is kind of the conclusion. This is kind of the time where whatever change you put in place in January and worked on for all those 9 months, you've reached the pinnacle of it. If you hadn't put any changes in place that could benefit your life, you also reach the pinnacle of that. Okay. So the newness of the month is going to be felt in different parts of your astrology chart. It's going to be felt mostly in the charts that are related to your first and your 10th house and whatever those signs, constellations were in your natal chart. So those houses will be impacted. And I'm going to tell you how that works. So for Sagittarius, the ninth sign, you're the ninth constellation, being in the first house, the 10th constellation, which is Capricorn, is in your second house. Okay. Natally, right? So maybe not now because as life goes on and you move, everything shifts. So your second house is values, income, extended family. Most people look at that as how you make money on the day to day, right? So that means that your second house is going to be impacted in this month, as well as your first house, which is where your rising sign is. It's all the first house is going to be impacted for everyone, but this is your vessel that you live in each and every day. So this is your vessel, not just in your physical body, which for most of us it is, but this is also the home that you are in every day. So you're going to have an impact there. So for you, Sagittarius rising, so far you have your first house, you have your second house, which is the 10 energy, and then you have your third house that's going to be impacted, which is the fifth house in this case, because that's where the number one, which is Aries, which is also associated with this one energy in October, is. So the fifth house for most people, children, but also discernment, your ability to know the energies that are at play, what's coming, what's not coming. And it's also about students, things that people that you're teaching in some way can be about judgment and seeking advice and giving advice, right? So it is also a very intellectual house. Okay. Now we'll get into whether or not there's some health issues going on later. We'll talk about that. So right now, thus far, you have your first house, your second house, your fifth house are the houses to look at. And then again, everyone has to look at the 10th house, which is the government and career sector, because that house overall is being impacted for everyone, the entire collective. Just so happened for you, Virgo is in that position for you natally. So wherever Virgo energy floats around, you will have another impact. Okay. So let's look and see where these energies are. Now, that's what houses are we dealing with for you? First house, second house, fifth house, 10th house, meaning those will have more of an impact than the other ones. Not that the other ones won't have one, especially if you're dealing with a dasha that's going on at, let's say, a Venus dasha. Wherever Venus is hitting, if you're in the Venus dasha, you're going to be impacted that much more. But that we would only know if I was looking at your individual chart. Okay. So all right, so let's go, and we are starting because you're the third cycle, the third wave of the readings that I'm doing. So you're starting on October 8th. Okay. So starting with the 8th, looking at first, second, fifth, and 10th houses. So the first energy that we see that comes up is going to impact your first house where you incarnate. It's a little bit of a young energy, young childlike energy. Looks like there's some plans to your first house. Are you making appointments? That's what it looks like. You're making appointments of some sort. This could be appointments to get work done on your physical house, appointments to get work done on your body, or something like that. It is looks like that's where you're starting out. And some movement in the house. So if it's your physical body, maybe you start a new exercise routine or something to that effect. The other energy that's starting out is in the fifth house, which is the discernment and the children and the teaching and the advice. It looks like you need to seek advice on an issue. And this is a health issue that you need to seek advice on, and it's either going to be involving your liver, your heart, or your abdomen, or someplace in there. So you need to seek advice about that. That's where you're starting out. You're dealing with a health concern, and you're dealing with it without sharing it with other people. So you need to seek out advice on that situation. And then move over to, looks like your career sector, which is the 10th house. Although that's again government, career, and things of that nature, is looks like it is up and down, some fluctuations in it, and it is home base, but there's maybe it's not stable. Maybe it doesn't feel stable right now. Um, it's a little, yeah, because it's fluctuating a little bit. And this is all this current week. So, and remember, my readings are based out of the New York time zone. So if I give you a time, remember, you have to adjust it for wherever you live. If I give you a date, add one, take away one. So it's normally a 3-day kind of thing because the energies change based on where you live. They shift based on your positioning on the earth. Okay. So let's move forward. Let's move forward a little bit here and see later on. Watch out for inflammatory conditions in your body. Looks like they're really, really acting up this month, the beginning of the month. And then you may have the potential to go into a beauty type industry for career, or even some type of art, creative arts, something beautiful, something could be sexual, hidden energy in the sense. Are you doing like an OnlyFans from home? Looks like you have the ability to do something that is seen as beautiful with the body, with love. Not just the body. Beauty is in a whole bunch of different things. The beauty is in art. Beauty is in makeup. Beauty is in, drawings. Like beauty is in music. Beauty is in. So there's something creative that might be showing up as a option for you in career, and you might be thinking about doing it, but might not want other people to know about it, but it's possible. So let's go here. Let's move some more. So going a little bit, you might have a male figure, a person with an old way of thinking, an old way of doing things, a old how they a rigid way of doing things, might be um, causing a problem in your second house. Might be making it difficult for you in your wealth, your ability to have money, and you might actually be looking into moving or getting away from that energy um, because of it. Okay, so let's move forward. Your 10th house is overloaded a little bit this month. In this next week, at least, your 10th house has a lot of action, a lot of balancing issues going on. Um, Communication that's not positive, not high vibing, in your 10th house happening next week, the 13th. This looks like. Let's go back a little bit. Yep, that's the 13th. Too much energy. Also, you're having some issues with your limbs. Is this your arms? This is your arms. You're having some issues with your arms here. And that issue, your hands, your neck, your shoulder, your arms, somewhere in that area is interfering with your work, your communication. That's the week of the 13th. That energy is not good. Some of you need to go and have your heart checked out. And some of you are feeling a little bit dejected, like you have not been able to reach your goals. And that's what I'm seeing here is that some of you have goals, but they're not clear, they're not concrete, they're not written down, so you're not following anything. In your head, you have things that you would like to see happen and that you would like to apply, but without a plan, you're failing. So if you were to write down the goals, write down the plan, you would have more direction. And the energy is calling for you to establish some direction and balance your work, balance your health, and balance your communication. Change here. You need to look into changing career because this one isn't whatever one you're in is not fulfilling you and it's not meeting your needs, whatever career you have. There's a lot of activity around it this month, so it's definitely not. This looks even like you might be written up or like a complaint might be filed against you of some sort this month. That's the 21st or so of the month, or maybe you're the one filing the complaint. It looks like most of this energy is hitting in your career sector more so than, remember I mentioned the first, the second, the fifth. Right now, you have a little bit of stability with going on in your fifth house at the end of the month, it looks like. And then in your And that, remember, that's that discernment, that children, that advice, that looks like your discernment is on point. You probably are aware of the things that are going on in your career sector that is causing some chaos. And you probably understand that you need to make some change in that area. You've just been hesitant to make it. And now it's the time for you to move, because on the week of October 21st, things are going to happen to where you're going to be forced to make a decision as to which way you're going. It's better to be prepared and start planning now than for something to hit you, such as you either get terminated or you walk off the job or something to that effect. If you're part of the government shutdown, perhaps they're not going to bring you back, or perhaps they're not going to give you, funds that you thought you were going to get. So you need to be making some actual plans right now to mitigate whatever that situation might be, whichever way it is for you. Um, if you work in the justice arena at this time, you will be laid off at the end of the month. Justice, some type of justice department or something. Um, I also just so happened to see an attack on a government building at that time too. So be careful with that. Um, let's look and see where is there any, there's nothing really impactful in your fifth house. I mean, there's things happening there, of course, but there's nothing incredibly impactful at the end of the month. Same thing with your first house, except for you're probably going to have some like back issues or leg issues with some inflammation going on in the body. But it looks like that's a old thing. That's not a new occurrence by the way the lines are joining. There is going to be a shift into your ninth house that starts at the end of the month, which ninth house is Sagittarius energy in general, beautiful, intelligent Sagittarius energy. But this is a travel energy. So maybe that's traveling, meaning moving towards relocating or to another city, or going to visit someone, or some type of travel that, or plan for travel that's coming up. And it looks like a shift in your fortune, but it's not happening until like the very last week. And that's the start of it. That doesn't even mean it will be concluded. That means it will start then, where you might see a break in some of the stress and the strain that you've experienced. Again, that's like around about the 27th of October. Looking for anything else for you? There's also going to be a return to something that you used to do. So perhaps that's a job or a place that you used to live, or something is returning to something of old, or the opportunity to return to something of old uh, that's coming up. And that's actually going to be how you start November. The other thing to note, let me make this big and see. This is not a good time for attending any type of ceremony. Let's go back a little bit. October is not necessarily a good time for weddings. So if, even though it's a good love month, but love is beauty. It's not necessarily romantic, right? Is and sometimes love could be too much of carefree. carefree love, you could have that experience. So it's not really a good time for people to be like, you know what? Oh my God, I love you. Let's just run off and get married willy-nilly. It's not a good time for that because there's so many challenges that are happening for a lot of the different signs. Oh, by the way, the music could be something that's important for you as well. So, and you may find yourself wanting to be a little bit more social in October than you were in previous months for whatever reason. Okay. So, Sagittarius rising, that's what I have for you. Remember, embrace change and know that nothing can grow or evolve without it.